Beniel Dariush coming out. One of my new top guys, by the way. I mean, I must tell you, number one on my list for 2021. But I'm getting a few new ones in there, right? The Kevin Hollands of the world are coming in. I'm getting this new wave of guys I get to sit back and enjoy. But Dariush being right at the head of that list, it's called out Charles Oliveira. But he also laid out his case as to why. Now, I don't love that stuff because this isn't court and facts don't matter. Do you have a more entertaining story than he does is how this space works. But it's a great call out. And Dariush has finally been recognized with a top 10 ranking, I believe number 9. Oliveira has a top 5 ranking, I believe number 5. But don't correct me on these. I'm close. And I'm close enough. And throughout my entire life, when you had a ranking, it was always top 10. Somewhere new has come in, and it's only about a 2-year-old phenomenon that exists only within this space of mixed martial arts, where we're now talking about top 5. I want a top 5 guy. That was never said before. That's very new verbiage. The dialect was always a top 10, or it didn't matter. And I mean, this sport has even got to ranking the top 15. And I know in college football, they go all the way to 25. I understand that, but it's weird when college goes to 25. It's weird that we go to 15, and it's weird when anybody speaks about a top 5. It's always been top 10. I mean, I'm now hearing guys that want to be ranked and do that annoying diatribe that nobody wants to hear from them, but they do it anyway because they're dum-dums. And I'm hearing them say, I want a ranked opponent. I want someone in the top 15. 15's a weird number. 15 of anything is a weird number. If you go into a bakery and you order 15 donuts, that's weird. Just get a dozen. I mean, in all fairness, if you need the 15, then get 2 dozen. Don't do 15 of anything. Just FYI, okay? It's a weird number. But we've got this new thing that we have to live with, which is calling out a guy in the top 5. And the reason it's weird and that it's annoying is because if that catches on and that becomes a thing, then all of a sudden being a top 10 guy isn't good enough. No, I want a top 5 guy. Well, you just eliminated 5 guys, and you've really only talked about 3 guys because you're not going to get the champion, particularly talking that way. It just gets weird really fast. Now, I bring this to you because Dariush is within his limits here. He's top 10. That guy's top 10. That's good enough. Doesn't matter if it's 2 versus 9. If you are in a select group of the top 10, good enough. The other reason the call-out makes sense is nobody is calling out Oliveira. Oliveira's in a little bit of a tricky spot, which is he's frustrated. And Oliveira has the right to be. He has taken a slow path to getting on everybody's radar. Oliveira is a straight-up stud who might be the best in the world and won't be able to prove it unless he can get a world title fight. There's a number of guys you can say that about. There's a number of guys that even got to world championships, and they defended it 6 times. But if you look a little closer and they could have got that opportunity sooner, they would have defended it 9 times. I mean, Kamaru Usman falls into that by example. Kamaru Usman isn't any better now compared to the field than he was 2 years ago. And feel free to be as annoyed about that as you want. Kamaru Usman is a world champion today, and if he could have got the fight 2 years ago, he would have been a world champion then. Feel free to let that anger you, but it's the reality. Charles Oliveira might be the best in the world. I don't know. Maybe he's 2. He's right there, though. But he needs somebody to fight, and he's not going to get a championship fight. I don't believe he is. If I'm wrong and he does, and I don't mean come hook or crook. I don't mean somebody gets sick, somebody gets injured, and he gets to slide in. God bless him if he does. That's what dreams are made of. I just mean a good, straightforward, where we have a reasonable assumption to believe, okay? We're hearing that Conor and Poirier are in fact going to fight, and it sounds like sooner rather than later. I'm hearing May. I heard that from Dana. I mean, I'm hearing May, but it won't be for the championship. That's interesting, but it's also problematic if you're Charles and you're only waiting for a title fight, because whoever wins that fight obviously is going to fight for the title. Nothing could be more glaringly obvious in a sport where we fiercely adhere to the rules that we make up on the spot. Even with that said, whoever wins between Poirier and Conor is going to fight for the title. The question becomes, annoyingly, is it with Khabib or is it with somebody else? But we understand that in a best case scenario, 50% of that bracket is full. With Khabib coming back, 100% is full. And the only point that I'm attempting to make is that I don't believe that Oliveira, who's fighting for money, can and or wants or should wait, that's going to be at the end of the year. You're talking about September, you're talking about October. To get Khabib back, that's where his time frame lies because of Ramadan. If you're talking about getting Conor McGregor in the ring, not once, not twice, but 3 times all in one calendar year, we're kicking that can. And then in make-believe land, a guy that's done nothing and has been absolutely unbusy and was only seen by the people one time, and it was against Tony Ferguson. Tremendous victory, but it wasn't even the main event of that show. It was 3 rounds. It wasn't 5. Do you see all the problems? That's a tough sell. Oliveira needs something to do. And because nobody's calling him out, Dariush just became the guy. If you were to ask me, okay, who should Oliveira fight? I'm going to go with Dariush. Who else should he fight? What do you mean, who should he fight? The one guy that wants to fight him. No one else wants to fight him. This guy wants to fight him. They're both in the top 10. And if you come back and go, yeah, but he's a top 5, please don't do the top 5 thing. Please let's not. There's no such thing, okay? It's one category. Throughout the history of time, a top 10's a top 10. It could be 2 versus 8, 1 versus 9. It can go any way you want. The top 10 is a select group. But there's still a group. And to make that elitist club even more elite by trying to eliminate and separate and go into top 5, it's just weird. Let's not do that. Very smart call out by Dariush, because Dariush is in the same spot that Oliveira's in. I don't take any pleasure in telling you Oliveira's not getting what he wants at all. That doesn't please me. I think that Oliveira's a straight stud. He's got the same obstacle that Dariush does, which is, it's not a question of am I a good fighter, it's a question of can I get on there with a star? I've gotten on there to get the rub with the guys to prove that I'm good. Now I need a star to give me the rub and pull me up and let me be a star. They're both facing the same thing, but that's a mega fight. That could be a main event of many cards. That could be a co-main event of much more cards. And you don't care where the eyeballs come from. They're coming in because it's free TV, or it's coming in because you got to jerk the curtain for the main eventer, but he's got millions of fans. It doesn't matter. You bring them in, you take which ones you can take. That's how the game is played. Dariush and Oliveira. And Dariush has now pointed a gun right at Oliveira's camp, figurative gun, of course, for them to respond. And what are they going to say that you guys are going to accept other than yes? You said you want a tough fight. This is a tough guy. You say that you're the guy that will take on any. You can't put your belt around a guy that won't take on anybody. Because if he's going to do that when he's floating through the rankings, he's going to do that when he's got the belt around his waist. What are you going to say? And the song and dance about we're only going to fight for a title, that was the song you played last week that nobody listened to. And that's the dance you did the week before that fell flat. You could back down. It would be the second back down because it publicly got exposed that you backed down from Michael Chandler. You could back down, but now the game is over. Your options don't get better as you turn them down. They get worse. So Oliveira is either going to have to fight Dariush or he's going to have to give an answer as to why not, which is fine. But Dariush is ranked number 9. The next time we're talking about Oliveira, we're not going to be discussing anybody in the top 9. The options are going to get lower and worse, and your placement on the card will as well. And you can study the sport and live in the sport and have the answers to the sport to as many people as you want. They will always think that they know more than you. Oliveira needs to fight Dariush. If you guys want my prediction, Oliveira is going to find a reason to not fight Dariush.